As if it were yesterday when we greeted the iPhone 16 generation, now it's about time to see the debut of the iPhone 17, which may be just around the proverbial corner, set for the typical September release. This time around, Apple is altering several things on its biggest phone, with the rumor mill hinting at probable external and internal modifications. Would any of these unique features leave the previous iPhone 16 Pro Max in the dust? Apple will be mixing up the look of the iPhone 17 series with noteworthy modifications. In the case of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, it would be an expanded camera island at the back, which would span side to side and will somewhat remind of the camera strips on Google's Pixel phones, but larger in size. That would be a drastic difference in contrast with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which employed a polished but mainly recognizable and essentially unaltered design language in comparison with its predecessors. Rumors also point out that the iPhone 17 Pro Max may become significantly thicker at 8.75mm is the iPhone 16 Pro Max's 8.25mm dimension. Hopefully, Apple will fill all that additional space with batteries, which is typically the expected consequence of design enlargements. Build materials could also be altered quite a little. There are reports saying that Apple may turn its head away from titanium and return back to aluminum with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which would make the overall assembly somewhat lighter and more cost-effective. Most crucially, however, international titanium production is domineered by China, which might be a huge concern should the trade tensions with the US persist. The button arrangement will stay the same. An action button on the left-hand side and a camera freedom button on the lower right side of the phone, providing consumers greater freedom over how they handle their devices. The iPhone 17 Pro Max will sport a 6.9-inch Liquid Retina XDR display once again, with 120Hz and a ProMotion technology. In this sense, the forthcoming handset will remain same with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. However, the iPhone 17 Pro Max likely include a somewhat smaller dynamic island notch up front. Historically, this wouldn't be the first time Apple has shrunk the cutout at the front. Back with the iPhone 13 generation, Apple lowered the display notch by 20% in comparison with the prior generations, leaving more screen real estate available to the user. Another conceivable enhancement might be Apple's adoption of Samsung's M14 OLED screen, which could substantially raise the maximum peak brightness from 2000 nits today to around 3000 nits in the ideal atmosphere. At the same time, the lowest brightness will continue to gravitate around 1 nit, as with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The next iPhone will undoubtedly employ the Apple A19 Pro processor. Although we are positive about the nomenclature, we don't know if it will be made on a 3nm or a denser and more sophisticated 3nm node. Given that both the A17 and A18 Pro chips were built on TSMC 3nm manufacturing node, the A19 Pro will logically use this manufacturing process, but recent rumors claimed that TSMC might have installed the equipment necessary for the 2nm manufacturing process ahead of time, leading to speculation that Apple and the iPhone 17 Pro Max might be first in line to get the faster and even more efficient 2nm chips this year. In any event, regardless of the production method, we anticipate advances in terms of performance and efficiency with the Apple A19 Pro chipset. However, when directly compared with the A18 Pro inside the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the changes could be minimal, so you probably won't gain that much if you upgrade. Rumors indicate Apple would double the amount of RAM to 12 gigs on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, possibly to improve the device's future-proofness as far as artificial intelligence goes. Due to the same reason, the iPhone 16 family received 8 gigs of RAM across the board, although that may not be enough. iOS 19 will arrive as standard on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, while the iPhone 16 Pro Max will receive it over the year in September. We now expect a substantial graphic revamp, the first one in over a decade. Eye functions are presumably presently on hold, since Apple Intelligence started off to a very rough start. Aside from the enlarged camera island in the back, which could eventually match the Las Vegas Strip, we are apparently just getting small modifications with the rear camera assembly. It appears Apple will eventually switch to a higher-res 5x periscope camera, purportedly of 48 megapixels, a clear boost over the 12 megapixels, one that debuted with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and was also used on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. With the higher-res periscope camera, Apple will be able to apply in-sensor cropping for increased hybrid zoom, which effectively implies possibly longer zoom with lossless optical fidelity. This would also suggest that all rear cameras of the iPhone 17 Pro Max will be 48 megapixels once. Apple could also feature 8K video recording for the first time on the iPhone series. This functionality will most definitely stay unique to the Pro versions, however. A big change might take place at the front. The iPhone 16 Pro Max's 12 megapixels FaceTime camera could be upgraded to 24 megapixels on the iPhone 17 Pro Max for higher quality selfies and video chats. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is the current record holder when it comes to battery capacities on iPhones, but reports indicate that Honor could be extremely short-lived. The 4,685 milliamps battery on board might be eclipsed by the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which could offer us a battery greater than 4,700 milliamps, but likely no more than 5,000 milliamps. The mentioned depth increase might allow for a bigger dual-stacked battery at the back of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but the perfection of the stacking technology could be the major reason we could possibly see a larger battery here. We presently don't foresee any improvements to the charging speeds. As a reminder, the iPhone 16 Pro Max might take up to 40 watt of wired charging in some conditions, while its MagSafe 2.0 charging rates peak out at 25 watt. Although early, we appear to know, or at least be able to identify a big swath of the iPhone 17 Pro Max features. Here's how they will compare versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Next, the latest round of US tariffs is spreading upheaval across several sectors, including electronics, and that makes it extremely hard indeed to anticipate price for the next iPhone. That of course implies that rumors are scant on the ground, and also that prior prices are not the general indicator that they typically are. We can simply state that the iPhone 16 series debuted at comparable costs to the iPhone 15 before it, so we're expecting the same for the iPhone 17 Pro and its siblings, but we're not holding our breath. While most smartphones tend to look the same, there's only so much you can do with a slab of glass and some cameras on the back. After all, there may be a few adjustments in line for the iPhone 17 Pro. One of the recent reports hints to a possible shift in materials, indicating a break from the titanium frame used in the iPhone 15 Pro and 16 Pro models, and the stainless steel used in prior Pro iPhones. According to the information's Wayne Ma, the iPhone 17 Pro will sport a unique part aluminum, part glass construction that might boost durability while still permitting wireless charging. The top piece might allegedly be aluminum for better durability, while the bottom section would be glass in order to accommodate wireless charging features. It's a fascinating notion, however time will tell whether the rumors are genuine. The camera module, meanwhile, is anticipated to get a big overhaul too. The iPhone 17 Pro might have a huge rectangular camera hump covering almost the whole width of the handset, akin to Google's Pixel phones. A new render by Majin Buu demonstrates how this design may appear. Majin Buu also predicts that Apple would likely launch a new sky blue color for the iPhone 17 Pro models, comparable to the newly announced MacBook Air M4. According to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, the camera bump will also be the same hue as the rest of the gadget, rather than displaying a two-tone design as shown in some early images. The iPhone 17 Pro is likely to keep the same 6.3-inch display size established by the iPhone 16 Pro, but with some noteworthy advancements to the screen technology. Reports from Instant Digital say that the iPhone 17 Pro's display will sport a new anti-reflective coating, greatly enhancing its scratch resistance compared with previous generations, as well as improving readability in direct sunlight. Elsewhere, the regular 120Hz ProMotion refresh rate is likely to return. However, the display might hit greater peak brightness levels, presumably by adopting Samsung Display's M14 panels, which can supposedly reach up to 3000 nits. Interestingly, the ProMotion technology will no longer be unique to Pro models, with all iPhone 17 models likely to sport 120Hz screens due to the adoption of LTPO with OLED technology throughout the whole 17 series portfolio. Lastly, a smaller and less invasive dynamic island might also make an appearance. Analyst Jeff Pugh adds that the iPhone 17 Pro Max would allegedly feature a narrower dynamic island because to the Face ID technology, employing a smaller metal lens. Instead of being curved like a regular lens, the newest version is supposedly narrow and flat enough to be able to concentrate light more accurately. That would represent the first update to the dynamic island since it was launched in 2022. In true Apple rumor mill form, however, another well-respected Apple expert predicts that the dynamic island will stay largely unchanged. Surprise, surprise, the iPhone 17 Pro will boast the most powerful iPhone CPU to date. The iPhone 17 Pro will be powered by Apple's next-gen A19 Pro processor, which is believed to be made utilizing TSMC newer third-generation 3nm technology. This could give increased performance and power efficiency over the existing A18 Pro silicon, yet it appears as if Apple will need to wait until the iPhone 18 in 2026 for TSMC more sophisticated 2nm technology. Memory is also reported to gain a considerable bump. Multiple reports predict that the iPhone 17 Pro might contain 12 gigs of RAM, up from the 8 gigs featured in the iPhone 16 Pro models. This extra RAM would notably assist the Apple Intelligence features while enhancing multitasking performance as eye capabilities continue to increase. Another noteworthy improvement might be thermal management. Reports from the above two sources claim the iPhone 17 Pro will use vapor chamber cooling technology, which disperses heat more effectively over a greater surface area to minimize thermal throttling and ensure steady performance during strenuous activities like as gaming. This would solve occasional overheating concerns identified with certain prior versions under high loads. All iPhone 17 models are also likely to have a Wi-Fi 7 chip made by Apple rather than Broadcom, marking another milestone in Apple's move to in-house component creation. However, the 5G modem in the iPhone 17 Pro versions will still come from Qualcomm, since Apple's in-house modem research looks to be developing at a slower pace than predicted. As for the operating system, it will come as no surprise to learn that iOS 19, which was revealed at Apple's WWDC in June, will be debuting on the next-gen iPhones. Apple Intelligence will, likewise predictably, the iOS 19 will feature improved AI capabilities, expanding on the foundation set with iOS 18. Lastly, on the battery front, we might see gains in lifespan because to the more efficient A19 Pro chipset, paired with a reported higher battery size. So, that's all we know for now. We'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we have more information. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.